Hey everyone, I'm Mr. Twery. Let's get to it. We're jumping into our next episode today in our series on historical and/or spice tea themes for AP World History Modern with the political theme. We'll explore what the political theme or political spice tea theme is, where we can see it in different periods throughout the class, and how to apply it to some of the types of essays you'll have to write in AP. Think about the last time you argued over who gets to pick the music in the car. You want to play the new indie artist you just discovered on Spotify because they are super cool, and your little brother wants to listen to the same classic rock band your dad listens to for some reason. You are arguing over who has access to the Bluetooth or the aux cord, and who gets the right to decide what music to listen to. That's politics. That is about power. Not because it's always dramatic, but because it's all about who gets to make the rules. And when I get to make the rules about the aux cord, it is Hootie and the Blowfish on the speakers all the time, no skips. Shout out to my boy Hootie. Sometimes when we think about politics, we think about politicians working in Washington or in a state capital far away, making decisions for us, and that is true, that is politics. But this theme is also more tangible than that. It's the literal building of states, governance, conflicts and wars, and how people organize and manage power. We're looking at empires, revolutions, borders, bureaucracy, essentially all of the behind-the-scenes stuff that shapes how societies are run. Basically, anytime humans have tried to create order or control over others, that is the political theme. Spoiler alert, is almost always. In fact, if you look at this chart provided by our friends at the College Board who made the class, the political theme, also known as governance, in that third row is the only spice tea theme that the College Board put prominently in all 9 units of the class. That means this theme is a big deal for us. So remember, as part of this series on spice tea themes, every time we see the political theme, we are going to associate it with the color orange in our color-coded system. Let's look at some examples of where we see the political theme in action in each of the 4 major time periods in AP World History Modern. In period 1 of the class, 1200 to 1450, we start with the Mongol Empire. These guys are a classic example of the political theme. You know, that time Genghis Khan basically said, "Why stop conquering when I can own half of Eurasia?" He reorganized loyalty-based government and used local administrators to control his newly conquered territories. That, and by providing protection and standardization of trade across the whole Silk Road, he created the largest contiguous empire in human history. That is not something to spit at. Actually, don't spit at anything. I don't know why I used that saying. The Mongols are also an example of how mismanagement of your empire can lead to its collapse. Despite its size, the Mongolian Empire didn't leave much of a lasting legacy following its collapse. In period 2, 1450 to 1750, the Ottoman Empire was expanding their borders through the innovation of gunpowder. Historians did not call them one of the gunpowder empires for nothing. Cannons and rifles helped the Ottomans win conflicts throughout Western Asia. Remember, the political theme is not just about who makes the rules, but also how people gain the right to make the rules through expansion and conquest. Often, this involves explosions. In this case, via cannons. In period 3, 1750 to 1900, revolutions are spreading across Western Europe and the Western Hemisphere. The American Revolution made revolutions all the rage in this period and inspired the French people to fight for some of the same rights that Americans had insisted on. Part of the initial frustration the people had was over property rights and taxation being unfairly placed on the general population, rather than on societal elites in France. Don't get confused though here. Just because I started talking about something that looks like it's in the social spice tea theme doesn't mean it wasn't also political. In the French Revolution, we see a clear conflict occurring, which is already the political theme right there. But we also see a population insisting on new rules for how they are governed in the Enlightenment era. Finally, in period 4, 1900 to the present, we see the decolonization movement in the second half of the 20th century. Countries and lands that had been previously conquered by European powers were seeking autonomy from imperial control. Not for the first time, mind you. They took all different approaches to pursue this independence. It was not uncommon for countries to have to fight for it, like Algeria seeking to be independent from the French. But some countries were able to negotiate successfully for independence, such as India from Great Britain. While this was not a conflict in the way we have previously mentioned, it had its own complications. It still is an example of the political theme because it shows a reorganization of borders and laws and bureaucracy and authority. Let's look at an example of how you might respond to an AP-style essay involving the political theme. Evaluate the extent to which political revolutions in the period 1750 to 1900 led to the formation of new political ideologies and institutions. This is your bread and butter political theme question: revolution and reaction. Okay, let's break down a strong response to this essay from period 3 and what that might include. A great thesis in response may be something as simple as: political revolutions led to major ideological changes and new forms of governance in France, Haiti, and the Americas. Those are all references to different Atlantic revolutions studied in period 3, so that is a good setup. For your evidence, you could talk about the American Revolution for constitutionalism and democratic ideals, the French Revolution to discuss liberalism and republicanism, the Haitian Revolution as a foundation for anti-colonial and anti-slavery governance in the period. If you were seeking out the complexity point here too for this essay, you could look into discussing political power structures that exist into the 20th century or even the modern day that remained in the hands of elites. Politics has shaped the world, from empires to elections, revolutions or reforms, conquests or constitutions. The political theme helps us understand how power shifts over time, who's really in charge, and how that shaped everything else. Next time, I'll be taking on the spiced tea theme on the interactions between humans and the environment. That's it. I'm all done here. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.